So, we're making homemade gyoza, which means we're making homemade gyoza wrappers, or pot sticker wrappers. Here I'm going to be sifting 2 types of flour. I believe it's cake flour and all-purpose flour, but I'll link the recipe down below so you know which flours I'm using. And here I'm slowly adding some warm water. And you want to slowly incorporate. You want to just add enough so that a bowl starts to form. And I really like using it by hand. I don't like using a food processor, just so you could get really like in touch and in tune with the ball. So here I'm just gonna place the ball out. This is where I think, I just added enough water just so that the dough could form. And this is the trick. Yeah, it's gonna be super sticky now, but you want to keep moving it. Work that gluten until it becomes nice and smooth and elasticy. Look how beautiful this dough became. Here you're gonna see me, I'm gonna cut it in half. I'm gonna let it rest for about an hour, about 2 hours, just so that the gluten could really rest in here. Trust me guys, homemade gyoza wrappers really makes a difference. It has a nice chew, a nice bite, and a nice flavor than the store-bought wrappers. But while you're letting your dough rest, you could go ahead and make the filling. And here, you can make any filling for gyoza. You don't have to use meat. You could go ahead and use potatoes. You could use just carrots or a mixture of sweet potatoes, carrots, and green beans, or whatever you really desire. Here I'm going to be doing pork gyoza. So I'm going to be using ground pork. I'm adding some cabbage for some tender and some texture and some moistness. Going with shiitake mushrooms with nice meaty flavor. And as well as some green onions. I'm also doing some garlic. And I'm also going to season it with ginger and my special sauce that you're going to see me slowly add. So sesame oil, different types of soy sauce, mirin, and sake. And I added a little bit of sugar just to bring out the natural sweetness to all the flavors that are going to be in this gyoza. And like the dough, I find it important after you add the sauce and you mix all the ingredients in the pork, you want all the flavors to rest. Now, ideally, with any kind of like meat mixture, you want it to rest overnight. This is because you want all those flavors to marinate, get to know each other, kind of like they're having like a one-night stand in a bit. But trust me, if you really want a nice, moist pot sticker, let it sit overnight. Don't be in a rush. Let it just have a little bit of fun, if you know what I mean. All of this could be a day ahead. While you're letting this rest, you could go ahead and move on to your dough. We're going to roll it out nice and thin. We're going to cut it out in little bits. And we're going to wrap it. And honestly, I think pot stickers are one of my favorite dumplings. Simply because you get nice chew, nice tender dough. You get that juicy meat in the middle that's super flavorful. And the juices just run out of your mouth. And that crispy bottom. Yeah, there's some places that, deep fry pot stickers, and yeah, that's good, but it's one-dimensional to me, because it's just crispy outside and juicy inside, versus a traditional pot sticker. You're getting that tender dough, crispiness, and juiciness. But anyways, here you're gonna see me, I'm gonna roll out the dough. Look how smooth this dough looks, guys. Doesn't it look like Play-Doh? It looks super good, and it's super easy. You just need a little bit of patience on rolling that dough out. I'm going to cut it out in some even pieces. I'm going to roll it out super thin, or as thin as I can get. It's really important that you dust your marble board or your whatever board that you're using with a little bit of starch, potato starch, cornstarch, but not flour. I find cornstarch really helps the dough not adhere, and it doesn't add any more powder into the dough. You see here, I'm rolling it out without the starch, and it actually starts to stick. And I was like, oh god, I made a mistake. Why am I doing this? And soon after, I'm like, yeah, I should add some cornstarch. So I'm going to add some cornstarch. I'm going to roll it out. And if you want uniformity, after you roll out each dough, you want to take a cookie cutter, like a round cookie cutter, just so that each wrapper is the same. And with this, you could store it overnight. I would say get like a paper towel, moisten it a little bit, and wrap your wrappers with it and then put it in a plastic bag and put it in the fridge. You could also freeze these, I believe. Just make sure, I would say try to put some parchment paper in between each piece so that they don't really stick. But right here, this is a perfect piece of pot sticker dough or gyoza dough. And you know, you don't even have to use this for gyoza. You could do shumai with this dough, and yeah, and you could also, essentially you could do it's kind of like a wonton dough, so you could fry these up like chips and put them in a salad. I don't know, the possibilities are really endless, guys. But there's something about homemade pot sticker dough that really screams love. You know what I mean? Just everything's, if you eat something and someone says, I made everything from scratch, even grinding the flour and picking the wheat. I'm just kidding, but here you see, I'm just gonna dab with a little bit of water so that the edges could stick to each other. I'm adding about a teaspoon of the filling, depending on how big your gyoza is. You could do like a tablespoon if your dough is a little bit bigger, but here I'm using a teaspoon, and you want to roll it. And this is where, you know, practice makes perfect. The crimping. And I've seen many, you know, aunties, grandmothers, mothers crimp like a G. Like, they're crimping like it's no tomorrow. They could do it with their eyes closed. They do it like less than 10 seconds. It's truly an art. And when I eat gyoza or pot stickers from a restaurant and I see it homemade and that crimp is tight and uniform, I respect it. But hey, these are still going to be delicious. It takes practice. Don't judge a book by its cover. And don't judge me. Don't judge my crimping skills. So it's time to cook. From here you could store it or fry it. So I added a little bit of oil. I'm using olive oil. And you want to do it high heat and place the pot stickers onto your pan. Here I made a mistake. You're gonna see my mistake, but they're a little too close to each other. I mean, if you like it this way, fine, but like the word says, pot stickers tend to stick, and they all ended up becoming like homogeneous. But here you can see that it's steaming after I closed that little bit. I added a little bit of water to get that steam going, and I finished it off with a little bit of sesame oil just for the taste. Now, again, I made a little bit of a mistake. They burned. I looked away for a little bit, and they freaking burned. But hey, you know, I'm not perfect, and this is what cooking is all about. You know, I'm not a professional chef. You know, not everyone is, and we're all gonna make mistakes. Lesson learned: don't look away from the pan while you're frying pot stickers. But honestly, these were so good. I made a little bit of hot chili oil mixed with soy sauce and sesame oil, and this is it. Look how tender and crispy. Look how, you can tell how thin that dough is. I'm gonna dip it in there. It's good. Oh, so good. Oh, look at that. It's so juicy. Yeah. Oh, yes.